everyone. Today we have our another new episode, and we will discuss on advanced in Nikola Tesla technology in 21st century. We have our world famous speaker, Mr. David Smith, and Mr. Daniel. First, I would like to give chance Mr. David Smith to discuss about Nikola Tesla technology in 21st century, how we can develop better solutions for modern world, especially for energy and artificial intelligence, with the help of Nikola Tesla innovations. So, David Smith.
Well, Sharif, thank you so much. I love us spending all these sessions reviewing Nikola Tesla, his life, and his contributions to advancing the science that we have. Um, Nikola Tesla was a prolific inventor and one that spun many different areas. His invention style was very interesting compared to some of how we do it today, but he did a very good job of inventing in his mind, was one of his quotes. He wanted to work through his idea all the way through in his mind about how it was going to develop, what the options are. He wanted to begin to think about how it could be used before he ever wrote any of it down on paper. And so he had an extremely visual inventing style, and one which today would be hard to do because of some of the rules around intellectual property and others. Um, but then he also began to be an active patenter, not only in the United States but internationally. And his many of his inventions have international patents that were associated with them, and even some of his patent battles are still happening today, long after he had died. So it's a tribute to the strength of the inventions he had. Um, as we've talked about before, uh, Nikola Tesla's biggest challenge was not the inventing, but the commercialization. He and his processes never really, in most instances, ever resulted in him forming successful companies. He had alliances where he worked with some folks like Westinghouse to begin to commercialize some of the technologies, but he, for his most part, did not. And as a result, during most of his life, he was very poor. He had to have other people help fund his ability to invent. And in the latter part of his life, some of the quotes of people says he spent a lot of his time in New York City in Central Park feeding the pigeons and thinking about new ideas there. And he lived in a very small hotel room during the latter part of his life and to where he died there. Um, and that's a great lesson for us, is that it's great to invent. It's great to even begin to look at how to protect your intellectual property, but you have to commercialize. You have to take a product to market. And oftentimes, you either have to stand up a company to take it to market, or you have to collaborate with others and use resources with others to sell the technology to them, to license the technology to them, to be able to get more of a benefit off of it. Um, and that was where Nikola Tesla had his challenges. Um, but he was a very prolific inventor. Um, Many of his technologies are fundamental to what we're doing today. His radio controlled boats that he invented and controlled in the lake in Central Park is really the precursors to the drones we have today. Hydroelectric power, alternating current, radio frequency. His greatest invention that we're just now beginning to realize more and more is his goal and vision of transmitting electricity wirelessly and transmitting at a great distance wirelessly. Um, and that could revolutionize so many things as part of his vision. His vision back when he invented is he wanted to use that wireless transmission of power to power airplanes, to power ships and things so that they would not have to burn fuel. And again, just today are we beginning to see approaches where that can actually be actualized today and begin to be used to benefit humankind. So those are some of my initial thoughts on Nikola Tesla, Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. What you want to discuss about Nikola Tesla and how you want to implement Nikola Tesla technology in your campaign?
Ah, good points. Yes, I am a campaigner for a national office with the Transhumanist Party, the U.S. Transhumanist Party. Tom Ross is the the presidential candidate. I'm his vice presidential candidate, and I'm really just having an amazing time in the process of running and meeting new people and thinking of policy ideas. And really, Tesla's work is a goldmine for anyone who studies him. He was known as a inventor, but if you read his quotes, I mean, he was an astonishing writer as well. I mean, I just went onto a site called Goodreads that has a couple hundred of his quotes that I've never read before, but you know, the stuff he says about you know, if you want to invent, be alone. You know, because he was he was kind of the ultimate solitary genius. He was kind of the poster child for being a solitary, you know, almost the mad scientist type. You know, we have this cliche of the mad scientist, and Tesla hit a lot of he checked a lot of the boxes on that. But I don't know, could I indulge you with some of his quotes that I would just like to share? So the first one is, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Good to see another guest on our show. Welcome. So I would comment about that. There's a news story that scientists have found the background hum potentially of the gravity waves of the universe. So, you know, the universe is composed of matter and it's expanding and contracting. So these generate gravity waves, and now we may have a way to pick up this background gravity hum of the universe. So that's going to be very interesting. What if we can use that for things like navigation or communication? Anyway, another great Nikola Tesla quote, number 2 here. Quote, "I don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any of their own." So, you know, that's that's that open source mentality that's embodied, you know, that great inventors like Ben Franklin, who gave away most of his inventions, he made them open source. He made them free to share, because I think people like Tesla realize that we live in a creative universe, and there's kind of a background radiation of creativity just that we're swimming in, that we're immersed in. And this might actually be one of the secrets of consciousness, because we haven't fully explained the mechanism of the kind of consciousness we have. So another quote I like from Tesla: "Of all things, I like books best." So that's a typical solitary guy. He wants to be alone with his books. You know, books will not leave you. They won't scold you. They won't treat you badly. You can treat a book badly. Another quote, just going in order, this would be the fourth one. Quote, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." So here he's acknowledging that, you know, science is based on what we can measure, but the things that we can't measure and we don't know yet are probably of much larger set than what we do know. It's interesting if you think of the known as a circle, when you increase how much known you have, look what's happening to the circumference of that circle. It's getting bigger. So you're making more and more contact with the unknown around the circle of the known as it expands. So it's potentially what they call a zero-sum game, but you know, maybe we should be grateful for any game, including the zero-sum ones. So anyway, I don't want to go overboard reading the Tesla quotes, but I've got more. I'll let you go on to the next presenter. Thanks. Unmute, please.
Now I request Mr. Jason.
Thanks, Sharif. Appreciate it. So, topic of today is all about Nikola Tesla. Sounds like awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, he's definitely quite the inventor, and came up with a lot of different ideas and methodologies. And during his time was obviously probably one of the best, and knew a lot of things in math and physics, and was ahead of his time to some degree. Definitely, I think our whole society owes him, a lot of gratitude for what he developed, because without him, our world could be different. Now, maybe someone else would have invented those things eventually, but the timeline would have been slightly different for sure. The question we have to ask today is, now with the advent of all these new digital tools that weren't around when he existed, can we potentially have millions of individuals that can create new tools and technologies that are on the same scale of disruption that he made during his time? And I think that is what we're going to see, actually, and we're already kind of seeing it with so many different companies disrupting new fields, as well as additional fields being created nearly all the time because of these new tools and advances in technology. And on many levels, it comes down to the decrease in cost. Someone who isn't too wealthy can still buy a smartphone, can still buy a computer, and can still tinker in their garage and invent something that maybe is completely new and hasn't ever been around before. So I think definitely it's a lot to learn from him. And, some of the base of electromagnetism and, power and electricity and all these concepts that he really worked with, I think we can actually use and apply to biology, actually. And recently, over this past decade, this field known as quantum biology has started to take off, including, they're discovering this bioelectric pattern in the body. And, originally they didn't know about this, but they're figuring it out now. This few people from Harvard are doing research actually into this. And, this guy, Dr. Michael Levine, gives us the example of when you cut off the arm of a salamander, how does it know to grow back to that exact length? And that information is not coded in our genome, and it's actually a bioelectric signaling pattern in the body that tells it to do that. And I believe we have the same or a similar bioelectric pattern in humans too. And once we can really invent the tools, just like Nikola Tesla did, to alter that pattern, I think we're going to see things that are very, very interesting from a lot of perspectives. So that's kind of my opener. Thanks, Sharif, and thanks, Daniel and David.
Can I jump in with a quote that I think speaks to what Jason was saying? So this is a Tesla quote about the body. He thought he was just all about magnetism and inventions and radio, but it goes like this: I'll start over. Everyone should consider his body as a priceless gift from one whom he loves above all, a marvelous work of art of indescribable beauty, a mystery beyond human conception, and so delicate that a word, a breath, a look, nay, a thought may injure it. So that's Tesla talking about this quantum bioelectric kind of field. I think there. Just wanted to throw that in. You made me think of it there, Jason.
That's a good point. I mean, he may have thought of this already, and at the time they didn't have the tools to pick up that pattern of the body, and and some of those, maybe still aren't around. But I think we're starting to see it. There is new tools. These bioelectric suits, for example, there are products where you can just put on this piece of clothing and it'll actually stimulate the bioelectric pattern in your body. So maybe he was onto it back then, even.
For sure.
Thanks.
Mr. David Smith, what you want to discuss more? I know you have a meeting, so yeah.
Well, I appreciate it again, Sharif. Nikola Tesla, as we've all said, is a gentleman who is ahead of his time. And I would love to see him today with the advanced tools we have available that he did not have. And the fact that we are in a truly global, digitally connected environment where he could see and partner with others. But as Daniel had said, he was a loner. He loved to do things by himself. And for a gentleman with such brilliance to not collaborate with others, which can only amplify what he was trying to do, is a shame, because I think with his mind of coming up with ideas, if he had collaborated with others and let other people do part of the works, the impacts he's had could be even much greater than they are today. And I am looking forward to seeing what his upcoming the Nikola Tesla conference can say as we look deeper into his papers, and even more that were released recently showing other things. And it's like in 1895 when his New York lab burned and destroyed all his notes. I would have loved to gone back and see those. And then when he actually died, and people went in and confiscated his notes, and only some, not all of those have even been released through today. And some of them actually have become classified. But like I said, even you see those going forward, and his impacts just are tremendous as you understand the depth of his inventions and the impact they have. He's won awards. He received the Edison Medal. He received the Royal Medal, the Copeland Medal, the Albert Einstein Medal. Tremendous different views. And since we've talked a little bit of politics here, his political views are pretty well known. And he was a humanist. He was pro-British, pro-American. He supported social reform. He wanted to eliminate war, and all of those. Plus, he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 1975. So he is really very, very interesting as you look at his capabilities and what he can do. And if I were a early stage entrepreneur who wanted to go and look at areas where I can learn and begin to get ideas for my innovation journey, reading some of his papers, going back and looking at what he did, his thought process that crossed multiple industry lines. One of our challenges today when we invent today is we look too narrow and we look within only our silo. But oftentimes, if we look broader across multiple industries, we'll find part of the solution we're looking for already in place in other industries. And just it hasn't been implied in the industry we're looking for. And Nikola Tesla had the vision to be able to look cross industries like that as well. And if you look at his inventions, he thought that way, and is a great way for us to think today. The other big thought as we look at Nikola Tesla is that he really had the vision to try to serve humankind's problems. And most of his inventions were trying to solve some fairly significant problems, like how to distribute power. Before him, it was DC, and he invented alternating current. How to generate it economically. He invented the hydro dam as a way to do that. His wireless distribution of power without the intense infrastructure required to transmit power. Radio currency to let us broadcast radio, television, all of those over great distances. All of those have revolutionized what we're doing today. And his impact has been significant. And it's appropriate that we have conferences to talk about him and his process and review what he's done. And understand that his contributions have been tremendous. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, and I would love to whisper in his ear, Nikola, you need to go and commercialize this. I know that's not what you want to do. Let's set up a team to go do that. And I think that's where we are, and what we need to do with him and going forward. But Sharif, you're correct. I have 11:30 my time Zoom that I'm actually leading, so I do have to jump over on that one. But thank you once again for letting me be part of this today, and I love that I was able to scratch out some time to do it. Also, Dr. Sharif, you mentioned you had sent me something on WhatsApp. I have not. I checked WhatsApp and had not received it, and I really appreciate the privilege to being involved on your sessions, Dr. Sharif. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I request Mr. Daniel.
Great insights as usual, David. We need more whole systems thinkers, systems of systems thinkers. And you could say Tesla was in that mold as well. Yeah, he had another quote where he said, I don't think you can name many great inventions that came from married men. So he was definitely thinking that, he was getting his ideas from being alone. In fact, that's one of his quotes. Be alone. That's the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born. And I like one of his other quotes about the scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. So I love that contrast between clear thinking and deep thinking. And yeah, I think we need more clear thinkers. One of the things Tesla struggled with was his motor generator ideas, because if you look at the generators and motors of the day, they were DC things. They were noisy. They had to have carbon blocks that ran against the rotating part, so they had friction. They had sparks. They wore out, and he struggled with this how to upgrade this motor generator concept for years. And I think it hit him that you could rotate the field instead of rotating the matter, and that's what he did. He actually had the magnet part rotating, so you didn't need to have the sparky, frictiony DC blocks. In fact, it had to be AC to do this. And of course, AC electronics is a huge upgrade over DC electronics. When you deal in DC circuits, everything's linear. You have very straightforward algebra. But AC circuits, oh my gosh, you've got reluctance and reactance, and you've got all these dynamic multi-body problems. You pretty much need calculus to delve into to the world of alternating phenomenon. So can I do another quote that I think this kind of fits with my pantheistic view? I think Tesla was kind of a pantheist based on this quote. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. So there's a great idea that this is a greater creation kind of universe, and I have a inner faith that we live in such a universe. Some people have no such faith, but I actually think it takes more faith to deny that. Ironically, so I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. I guess is my problem, but I'm a pantheist. Another Tesla quote: "The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine." So here was a guy who was, not measuring himself against the present. He was measuring himself against his legacy, which he knew would be great. But don't think that he was all, rainbows and unicorns. He also warned us that you may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. So some people think he had weaponry ideas, and that's what was seized from his New Yorker hotel room. There were supposedly 80 crates of material, and only 60 of those crates made it back to Serbia, because at the time of his death, of course, there was kind of a Cold War division of the world taking place, and Serbia, it sounds pretty close to the communist orbit, so we can't let the the bad guys get a hold of all this advanced technology. But look at China had gunpowder. They had a monopoly on gunpowder for 400 years, and they could have used this to completely take over the world. And no, did they do that? No, they used it for fireworks, for peaceful purposes. And Tesla has many quotes about human nature and peace and conflict. Here's one, and I'll pass the baton after this quote. "Fights between individuals, as well as governments and nations, invariably result from misunderstandings in the broadest interpretation of this term. Misunderstandings are always caused by the inability of appreciating one another's point of view. This again is due to the ignorance of those concerned, not so much in their own as in their mutual fields. The peril of a clash is aggravated by a more or less predominant sense of combativeness posed by every human being. To resist this inherent fighting tendency is the best way to dispel ignorance of the doings of others by a systematic spread of general knowledge. With this object in view, it is most important to aid exchange of thought and intercourse." Now, I really love this quote, because to me, he's talking about citizen science. And I want to create like a world standard for doing citizen science on specific locations that's gamified. I'm tentatively calling this idea the World Citizen Science Passport, and it's as the idea develops, I'll keep you guys informed. But I think amateur radio, of which I'm a amateur radio operator with a call sign KK6VDR. There's 3 million amateur radio people around the world. They're kind of natural citizen science, so they're kind of the natural librarians for these location-based citizen science ideas that I think can be gamified with things like naming rights and contests between neighborhoods and other citizen scientists. So we'll more on that later. And I'll pass the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Jason. What you want to discuss? You want to add some point or any quotations of Nikola Tesla?
Thanks. No, I mean, I don't think. I think Daniel pretty much covered all of it. Daniel and David, I think, did a good job. So, no, I think it's a good topic, and thanks for having me on the show, Sharif. And happy to talk about anything else interrelated if you'd like. But yeah. Appreciate it.
I've got more Tesla quotes.
No, actually, we are planning to develop few startup based on Tesla innovations. Do you have any innovations? People are really serious about Tesla, or they are only serious about like Nikola Tesla, or Tesla about this car company?
Oh, right. I do think that there's going to be a lot of startups in the space innovating in this area of electricity and in particular, like I was mentioning at the beginning, bioelectricity. Right now looking into a lot of these new fields and new tools. The study of, say, how light interacts with biology, or the study of how electromagnetism interacts with biology. Across the board, you see new tools that are coming into our existence that are so futuristic. They were probably science fiction just a few decades ago. You can now have a lot of companies building, say, a laser that can actually be used on a person for various medical applications. You see different ultrasound machines, all kinds of different bioelectric stimulators, pulse electromagnetic field technology. And really the thing, at least for us, is to figure out like what is useful and what can be quantified and what can actually be proven. I think of the different methodologies to heal the body, such as, let's just say, acupuncture, for an example. It's very subjective. People go in, they get acupuncture, they say, hey, like, I feel better. I feel like that worked. And I think taking it a step further and using some of these new tools to measure before and after. Okay, you went in, you had these characteristics, and then you went out and there were these new biomarkers and it did work. And I think using, kind of taking what Nikola Tesla has built, and obviously people have already built many technologies on top of that. But now the thought process for these startups, like you're referring to, Sharif, is what comes next? What comes on top of all these new tools that we've kind of built on the shoulders of these giants? And I think what we're about to see is phenomenal. And I think there's so many companies and so much money going in, and now with the advent of these new AI tools, people's productivity is going to go up too. And those individuals who are using those tools are going to be able to figure out some of these new technologies, brainstorm with the AIs, and really build out their startup companies or their established companies to expand these new tools. So I think there's going to be a lot. I think that there's literally new fields being created all the time now from this. And I think that we're going to see a proliferation of startups targeting these new areas. And it's not limited to biology. It's going to affect the same way AI is going to affect every industry. I think that these new physics-based tools are going to affect every industry as well, from climate change to education to learning and to our health and wellness as well. Let's see, what did Tom say? I would tend to, that was an interesting point from Tom there as well.
Yeah. Mr. Daniel, you want to add?
Yeah, great to see our USDP presidential candidate checking in there. And we are on the verge of having these AI, artificial intelligence mentors and companions. In fact, I think our show on Tuesday coming up is going to be about the AI mentor for learning and for public school students. And I would add lifelong learners. Let's put lifelong learners. Really, everyone should have access to an AI mentor that can do all the good things a coach does. Track your progress, suggest routes to help you improve, identify what they call SWOTs, strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. That's kind of a four-way matrix that a lot of organizations use when they try to evaluate their progress, their key performance indicators. There's all kinds of these metrics that are really not used enough. And the metric I think that's not used enough is location information. We're just beginning to unearth that aspect of the information revolution. So yeah, these Tesla, we have Santa Claus is Saint Nicholas. Maybe Tesla should be Saint Nikola. because he was like a saint of civilization for all the not just talking about technology and inventions, but talking about how enlightenment and spreading fact-based truth would solve the conflict among humans and nations. And boy, do we need that more than ever. He was a peacemaker, but he was a realistic peacemaker. He saw the failings of human nature, and we owe it to his legacy to study him, like you're doing, Sharif. Can you talk about the conference that's coming up devoted to Tesla technology? That I think is that in Slovakia in what month is that again?
It's in October.
October.
Yeah.
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 Are there a lot
Actually,
of
we do focus on a lot of technologies. We focus on different innovations. We focus on advanced power semiconductor, analog and digital signal, automations, circuit and system, electric power generators, electric vehicle technologies, electrical engineering, electric power systems, electronics, energy harvesting and conversations, high voltage engineering and institution technology, uh, hydrogen and fuel cells, photonics, mobile computing, power electronics, power engineering, renewable energies, a lot of things, smart grid, wind and water-based energy generators, solar thermal applications, a lot of things we actually focus because Tesla has around 307 innovations. So the scientists, those who are working on that particular area, they can submit their research papers and they can, if they have the innovations like technology, they also bring their startup in our conference. I just want to share our conference website.
Tesla would have been an expert on all those you mentioned.
Yeah, it will happen in Slovakia in October 24 to 26, and these are different topics. What I'm discussing, every topic we are focusing. So those who have different innovations on that particular area, or they are working on that particular area, they can join and they can submit their papers in this Nikola Tesla conference, like scientific paper.
Yeah, there's a huge global
Besides,
community of Tesla scholars. Yeah, it's glad you're
uh,
adding.
I'm sorry, things are not so easy. No, 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 not at all. We do not find too much of engagement of that real Tesla because it's a real Tesla work. People are big fan of Elon Musk uh, and the Tesla car company, but they are not doing too much good work on Nikola Tesla innovations. What I'm sharing, because we change our date because we communicate with lot of universities, lot of professors, lot of researchers. People love to talk, not real work.
Yeah, well, Tesla, was considered kind of a fringy character in his day, and he still kind of is. So there's a
Yeah.
problem where people, oh, it's gonna mess up my reputation if I talk about Tesla because then I'll be seen as fringy, but that's a problem in lots of areas of
No,
human.
actually, like my experience that people are not seriously doing work on Tesla innovations. Few, very few. But definitely, I want to give thanks, Adrian David Chioks. I want to give thanks, David Levy. There are some good scientists, but many of them only they love to say about Tesla, but publishing paper, doing real research. Yeah, I think no.
Well,
No, too
people
much of.
are inundated with information, and it keeps them from walking their talk, more than ever. So,
Yeah, even we are working with university grant commissions of few countries. They are also uh, uh, like motivating scholars from around the world or around in between their communities to publish paper on Nikola Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where advanced learning universities could add a interdisciplinary department of Tesla interdisciplinary studies, because really he was talking about the physical, the spiritual, the metaphysical. I mean, he was a real interdisciplinary thinker, and universities should really establish departments to advance his legacy. I mean, we can reconstruct his legacy, but like Tom talked about, if Tesla had an AI mentor, well, maybe we could make an AI Tesla chatbot. If we put all of Tesla's ideas in there into a knowledge base, uh, maybe we could talk to Tesla, or we could talk to a reasonable facsimile reconstruction of Tesla.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
tried our level best to find out the scholars. So I don't know, maybe if you have good scholars who is doing real projects, we want to invite them on. Yeah, and I want to give thanks to EAI, European Allies for Innovations, for giving all kind of support for this project. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what Tesla was inventing was not possible with the technology of the time, like his Tesla turbine, which didn't have any blades. It was just a series of discs, that would use the properties of fluid dynamics to create kind of a stickiness. That had to turn at about 20,000 to 100,000 RPM, and at the time they didn't have the materials technology to construct turbines that could spin that fast, but we do now. So we could really be updating a lot of our energy systems with Tesla turbine technology. I think that would be a huge quantum leap in efficiency. And he was all about energy, frequency, and vibration, and we need energy, frequency, and vibration throughout our society to measure talent and tools and resources and improvement. We can have an economy based on Tesla's ideas, because our money should really be an energy unit, like Bucky Fuller proposed. The solar kilowatt hour could be a universal money unit, because it's used around the world, and the more you connect it, the more efficient it becomes, the price goes down, the value goes up. um, Frequency is like information, and of course, when we share information more widely, we become a more humane civilization. And we're just beginning to get good at this stuff. So have patience. Don't give up. It's coming.
No, we tried our level best, but from World Talent Economy Forum, I also learned a lot. I also learned from Western world and many people. And when actually, I'm sorry, like when there is a genuine project come and real work comes, there is very few people to make things happen. Very few people. uh, yeah, my professor, he want to give up, but I do not give up. But things is that I cannot change the world. I can change myself, right? I can do research on Tesla. I can work on Tesla. I can innovate technology and uplift the technology, but I cannot convince all scholars. But everybody love to talk about Tesla, but nobody will love to do a lot of good work on Tesla.
Well, you got to
Uh,
find different nobodies. I mean, there's a,
no, we communicate thousand and thousand and thousand of scholars, thousands. I have
well,
all of the records.
you look at the open source community, and that's really where the most of the innovation and the progress is happening. Even IBM, they patterned their software. They made it
No,
open source a
we need
couple years.
energy related technology, right?
Well, open source is just freely sharing of information in the community. It's like you can copy it, you can improve it, but you have to attribute who did it first.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's like the Linux, and all the open source programs. GitHub is where people share all the code on GitHub is open source. And the problem with open source, though, is it gets about 90% developed, but the
And
hardest
any
part is
solar project available in open source?
come again.
Solar related projects or innovations?
Well, the solar is inherently open source because the sunlight falls everywhere, So it's like you don't have to buy sunlight,
Mhm.
so that, but yeah, not all solar projects, of course, are open source. But But the one thing I was saying is the hardest part of a development cycle is the last 10%. And so a lot of projects get 90% done, and then that last 10%, oh, that's too hard. I want to go work on something else, So there's all kinds of great open source projects that are about 90% complete, but all the arguments come at that last 10%. Who's going to get paid, who's going to get stock equity, or who's going to get all kinds of the benefits, and that's where you get, unfortunately, a lot of abandonment of good ideas that are on the verge of coming to fruition. But we have things like the crowdfunding sites on the internet, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, GoFundMe. A lot of open source ideas have been brought all the way to fruition. Now, they don't always, even though they're funded, sometimes they flake out. They take off with the money. So it's not 100% guaranteed. You have to have trusted people that are going to deliver on what they promise. And of course, we know humans don't have a 100% track record in that field. But what are you going to do? It's you got to have faith and keep trying, and just pursue things with love and gratitude. And I think they will work out for the most part. It's more blessed to give than to receive. It's the fundamental truth of many faiths, and it's still true.
Okay, that's great. If you have better idea, you can share with us, and we definitely execute your idea. But I think there is a very big room to do research on Nikola Tesla technologies, and scientists can give more time for his innovations, and it can be more helpful for our community. At least in Bangladesh, with university grant commissions, I am executing this technology and innovating new technologies. And we are also inviting World Bank and Asian Development Bank to support this initiative. And we are also inviting many engineering institutions and universities who can join in our ecosystem. So we are trying our level best to executing the idea and thought and everything.
Yeah.
But I assume that I will get more support from developed nations, but I get less.
Well, that's a first world problem, I guess. Another person that I'm glad you're giving Nikola Tesla his overdue due, so to speak. But I think also of Buckminster Fuller, who is another guy that was not very good at commercializing his many inventions. And there's a very small but very dedicated community of Buckminster Fuller fans. And, his work deserves to be expanded upon and brought out into the commercial world. The problem with Fuller is that he didn't want to finalize the design because he could always see room for improvement. He's like, no, we can't sell it yet because it's not perfect. So this is a problem of when the perfect becomes the enemy of the good, or the good enough. There's a saying that at some point you have to shoot the engineer and start cutting metal. It's just like sell the product, because the engineer will never be happy, right? He's always, oh no, we got to fix this thing, and But that's why what Elon Musk does is he fails rapidly. That's how he is able to stay at the forefront of his competitors, is because he's iterating or repeating quickly, and he's failing rapidly. And like the new Starship, it's got 1,000 changes from the last one that blew up, and so that's probably going to work this time. And he says the best part is no part. It's like if you can build something by taking away a part, that's probably the better design. And he's like, the best schedule is like right away, I guess. So
this is interesting. Every time we can learn and we can help each other, and definitely we can help each other. Even we expect more research paper for Nikola Tesla. So those who are interested, they can submit their research paper.
Yeah, and Tesla wasn't afraid of failing. He has 200 plus patents. He tried things differently, and
But I believe we should focus more on UBI, universal basic income. That's why the researcher and innovators, they should not too much focus on commercializations, because those who are innovators and good researchers and the good scientists, they should focus more on their innovations, and rest of the people help them to go and make things commercializing. So in one person go for innovations and make commercializations, I think this is not the way of doing good things. I think this is the weakness of our society. We should support business organizations, government agency, and corporate academy. They should support all of the good scientists, and scientists can more focus on innovations, building new products, building new technologies, and innovating new kind of things. So maybe we can implement UBI, and we can try to, with this UBI, with the scientists, and we can support more the scientific world.
I like the idea of a UBI for science, because
Yeah.
that's where you want to throw your resources, into the things that are being a multiplier of the resources.
Otherwise, by innovating a technology is a very hard work. I have to work around 20 hours of time. That is the reality. So if I run behind making money, run behind sells my products, this and that, it's not productive. So if we want to innovate the technologies, we need to support uh, specific scientists. So maybe we can focus on UBI for science, and we can help each other.
Well, I think we do have a UBI. It's called sunlight. It's raining soup. Grab a bucket. The sunlight is there for free all the time, and you can grow plants with it. You can collect it. You can concentrate it. You can use it as a free energy source with just a little bit of resources. I think solar concentrated sunlight, you can get like 5,000 degrees just by creating a parabolic solar thermal concentrator, and that is enough heat to do things like disassociate water into hydrogen and oxygen, both of which are useful commodities as well. There's a plan called solardividends.org. Robert Staten's a professor at Santa Cruz, and his plan is community solar plants that create a UBI and also get us off fossil fuels in a matter of a generation. And I really think his plan is genius. It just involves pricing the kilowatt hour at $1, which is a little higher than what it is now. But you're also going to create like a trust fund for everyone. When they turn 18, they're going to have all this built up capital from the kilowatt hours that were generated from the solar panels they owned from the time they were born till they turned 18. And we could do this around the world. And in turn, this will go with putting in a world monetary unit based on the solar kilowatt hour and the interconnected electric grids. So to me, this is the way that the first world and the developing world can really interconnect, literally, with a solar UBI and a planetary electric grid. It's going to be a big part of my campaign between now and November 2024.
Excellent. So this is very good discussion for today's sessions. What's your concluding remarks for today?
Really appreciate your shows and your wide-ranging inquiries. Very, very good.
So what's your concluding remarks for today?
My concluding remark is love and gratitude are going to get you through when nothing else will. We come into this world with nothing. We can't take anything out of the world when we leave. So in between, we need to take care of each other. We need to be grateful and live our lives with love. And that's what Tesla was talking about. He was trying to get us to shift from a selfish economy to a greater creator economy of love and gratitude. And I have faith that we can do it. There's an old proverb I love, ancient Greek proverb. It says, the strength of a society is measured when old men plant trees whose shade they will never sit in. And that's what, we need to be planting those trees, even though we won't get to sit in that shade. And I don't have a problem with living life that way. So that's my concluding remark.
Thank you. Thank you for your excellent contributions. Thank you for joining today's sessions. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care. Thank you,
Well,
Mr.
another
Daniel.
good session in the can. Yeah, if you could make the thumbnails further in advance, I could do more promotion for them.
Okay,
'Cause
sure, sure.
usually I come up at the last minute, and then we still have that time issue, but I'm not going to argue.
Okay. Okay, sure, sure.
Yeah, I had a good interview with our director of energy at the Transhumanist Party, John Carrots. He's the guy that climbed Mount Everest, and he rode the jet to the edge of space. And he wants me to make him a cameo video now. He's going to pay me $7.50 to bust on him for not being elected in 2020. He actually ran to be the candidate in 2020, and he didn't make it. So that's kind of funny. I can kind of roast him about that in this video, and then he's going to make one for me. So yeah, you should make some funny videos, and it can be kind of a way to have fun and make some money.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank
All right,
you.
we'll see you next time.